The massive circular chamber of the Galactic Council hummed with energy as delegates from countless star systems gathered. Hyun Park stood near the central platform, her dark blue diplomatic uniform crisp and pressed. She was the youngest human representative ever selected for this prestigious gathering, and she knew every alien eye was watching her. The chamber itself was a marvel of galactic engineering. Holographic displays flickered with real-time translations, while alien representatives sat in specialized seats designed for their unique physiological needs. Some looked like walking crystals, others resembled intricate machines, and a few appeared almost plant-like in their structure. Ambassador Krell, a reptilian delegate from the Confederation of Scaled Worlds, was mid-presentation about universal reproductive strategies. His scaled skin shifted colors as he spoke, a biological communication method that fascinated human researchers for years. Reproduction is a simple process, Krell explained, his voice translated through advanced linguistic algorithms. All advanced species follow the egg-laying method. It ensures genetic diversity and protection of offspring. Hyun listened carefully, her fingers subtly tapping a small data pad hidden in her sleeve. She knew what was coming, and a slight smile played at the corner of her mouth. The chamber was silent, filled with representatives from over 200 known galactic civilizations. Some floated in anti-gravity chambers, others sat on complex mechanical chairs that adjusted to their unique body structures. Holographic displays showed complex genetic charts and evolutionary graphs. Krell continued his presentation, describing how eggs provided a protective environment for developing life forms. His argument seemed logical, comprehensive, and completely accepted by most delegates. Most, but not all. When the presentation finished, the council opened the floor for questions. Diplomatic protocol suggested keeping discussions formal and respectful, but Hyun Park was not a typical diplomat. Her hand raised slowly, catching the attention of the council moderator, a translucent being that seemed to be made of living light. Ambassador Krell, she began, her voice clear and confident. Your presentation suggests egg-laying is universal, but what about species that don't follow this model? Krell's skin shifted to a deep purple, a color signaling confusion among his species. All advanced species lay eggs, he repeated, as if explaining something obvious to a child. Hyun's smile grew wider. Humans don't. The chamber went silent. Not just quiet, but absolutely, completely silent. The kind of silence that happens when something fundamental is about to be challenged. Explain, demanded the light-being moderator. And so, she did. In simple, clear terms, Hyun described human reproduction, how humans carried their young internally, how mothers nourished developing babies through a complex biological connection, how birth was a direct physical process. The reaction was immediate and chaotic. Holographic displays flickered. Translation. Devices seemed to malfunction. Delegates from various star systems leaned forward, their various sensory organs focused entirely on Hyun. Some looked horrified, others looked fascinated. A few seemed genuinely confused, as if she was describing an impossible fantasy. Krell's skin cycled through multiple colors, a sign of extreme emotional complexity in his species. Impossible, he muttered, but his voice carried a hint of uncertainty. The light-being moderator's form pulsed with curiosity. Detailed biological documentation, it requested. Hyun tapped her datapad. Instantly, complex medical diagrams, genetic models, and scientific documentation appeared in the holographic space. Human reproductive biology, laid bare for the entire Galactic Council to examine. What had started as a routine diplomatic meeting had suddenly become something else entirely. A moment of revelation. A challenge to established galactic understanding. And at the center of it all was Hyun Park, a young human diplomat who had just fundamentally altered how the galaxy understood life itself. The first whispers began. Then, murmurs. Then a rising tide of conversation that would soon spread across hundreds of star systems. Humans didn't lay eggs, and everything was about to change. The news spread faster than light-speed communications. Within hours of Hyun Park's revelatory statement, every research station, communication network, and scientific hub in the known galaxy buzzed with the same question: how do humans reproduce? Ambassador Sung Kim found himself buried under a mountain of data requests, communication pings, and diplomatic inquiries. His communication desk looked like a battlefield of blinking holographic screens and frantically vibrating communication devices. The first wave of reactions came from scientific communities. Xenobiologists from the quantum research clusters began immediate studies. They requested every piece of human biological data available: medical scans, genetic maps, reproductive system diagrams. Nothing was too small or insignificant. On a distant research station orbiting a blue-green moon, a team of alien scientists gathered around a holographic projection of human reproductive biology. Their multiple eyes, some crystalline, some organic, some mechanical, studied the complex images with intense concentration. "They carry their offspring inside their bodies?" asked Dr. Orax, a six-limbed researcher from the Stellar Exploration Consortium. His translation device made his voice sound mechanical and precise. "Confirmed," responded his assistant, "a floating computational entity. Direct internal gestation. Nutrients transferred directly. Offspring develop completely within maternal body." The concept was so alien, so fundamentally different from every known reproductive method in the galaxy, that it seemed almost like science fiction. News networks picked up the story. Holographic broadcasts showed Hyun Park's presentation on repeat. Commentators analyzed every word, every gesture. Experts debated the biological implications. Some alien civilizations found the concept fascinating. The neural collective saw human reproduction as a marvel of biological adaptation. They began comprehensive studies, analyzing how such a method could provide evolutionary advantages. Others were less impressed. Conservative planetary governments called emergency meetings. They argued that such a bizarre reproductive method couldn't possibly be efficient or scientifically valid. In universities across multiple star systems, professors rewrote textbooks. Entire chapters on galactic biological diversity needed complete revision. Human reproduction became a case study, a fascinating anomaly that challenged existing scientific understanding. Social media equivalents across different civilizations exploded with discussions. Memes were created, jokes were shared, debates raged about what this revelation meant for galactic understanding of life itself. Sung Kim watched the chaos with a mixture of amusement and professional concern. Every few minutes, another communication request would ping his personal device. Research teams, diplomatic missions, curious individuals all wanted to understand human reproduction. "They want to know everything," he muttered to himself, scrolling through hundreds of incoming messages. The most interesting reactions came from biological research teams. They began comparing human reproductive methods with other known species. How did internal gestation provide survival advantages? What made human biology so uniquely adapted? Researchers discovered fascinating details. Human mothers could protect developing offspring better. The internal environment provided stable temperature, constant nutrition, and protection from external threats. It was a complex, sophisticated system that seemed almost designed for survival. Some alien civilizations found the concept so strange that they requested detailed medical simulations. Virtual reality programs were developed to help researchers understand human pregnancy. Scientists created complex models showing fetal development, biological connections between mother and developing offspring. The Galactic Scientific Council scheduled an emergency conference. Top researchers from hundreds of civilizations would gather to discuss this new biological revelation. Hyun Park was officially invited as the primary expert witness. As communication networks continued to buzz, one thing became clear. Humans had just introduced something revolutionary to galactic scientific understanding. Reproduction was no longer a simple, uniform process. It was complex, diverse, and far more fascinating than anyone had previously imagined. And at the center of this biological revolution was a simple, unexpected revelation made by a young human diplomat in a massive circular chamber. The galaxy would never be the same again. The research station orbiting the massive red giant star looked like a complex mechanical spider. Thousands of scientific instruments pointed inward, focused on one singular topic: human reproduction. Dr. Orax assembled his most elite research team. Representatives from 12 different alien civilizations gathered, each bringing unique scientific perspectives. They had one mission: understand how humans could possibly survive by carrying offspring inside their bodies. "This defies all known biological principles," muttered a crystalline researcher named Zin. Her body literally sparkled with embedded computational circuits. How can a living organism survive with another living organism growing inside its primary biological structure? Holographic displays showed complex human biological systems. Medical scans, genetic maps, and detailed reproductive diagrams filled the research chamber. Every inch of screen space became a canvas of scientific exploration. The team began systematic investigations. They analyzed human genetic structures, reproductive hormones, and cellular communication methods. Each discovery brought more questions than answers. Most fascinating was the human ability to transfer nutrients directly to developing offspring. The placental connection seemed like magic to alien scientists. A living organism providing complete life support to another developing organism. It was revolutionary. Computational models ran thousands of simulations. What would happen if other species attempted internal gestation? The results were catastrophic. Most alien physiological structures would reject such a process immediately. But humans? They had evolved a perfect, complex system. The biological adaptability is remarkable, Dr. Orax noted, his multiple sensory organs scanning data streams. Their reproductive method provides extraordinary survival advantages. Temperature regulation, constant nutrition, protection from external threats. Human reproduction seemed almost engineered for maximum survival potential. Each layer of research revealed more complexity. The quantum research clusters sent their most advanced analysis teams. They wanted to understand the genetic mechanisms that allowed such a unique reproductive strategy. How did human bodies prevent rejecting developing offspring? What complex biological signals enabled this process? Alien medical universities began developing new courses. Comparative reproductive biology became a hot academic field. Students from across the galaxy wanted to understand human biological mysteries. Some conservative scientific communities remained skeptical. They argued that internal gestation was inefficient, dangerous, and fundamentally flawed. But empirical data kept proving them wrong. Research stations broadcast their findings. Every new discovery about human reproduction became a galactic sensation. Scientific journals published extensive reports. Researchers became celebrities in their respective star systems. The most shocking revelations came from emotional and psychological research. Human mothers developed deep biological and emotional connections with developing offspring. The internal gestation process wasn't just a biological function, it was a profound emotional experience. Dr. Orax's team discovered something extraordinary. Human reproduction wasn't just a survival mechanism. It was a complex adaptive system that ensured not just physical survival, but emotional bonding and species continuity. "They don't just reproduce," Zin commented during a research briefing. "They create complex emotional networks through their reproductive process." Computational models showed how human offspring received not just physical nutrition, but also emotional and psychological imprinting during internal gestation. It was a multi-layered survival strategy that went beyond simple biological reproduction. The research expanded. Teams began comparing human reproduction with other known species. Some found similarities in primitive mammalian systems. Others saw humans as a unique evolutionary experiment. Funding for human biological research exploded. Governments, scientific institutions, and private research clusters all wanted to understand this fascinating species. At the center of this scientific storm was a simple biological fact. Humans carried their young inside their bodies, nourishing them directly, protecting them completely. What had started as a simple diplomatic statement was now transforming galactic scientific understanding. Yun Park's casual revelation had opened a door to a whole new way of thinking about life, reproduction, and biological adaptation. The scientific pandemonium was just beginning. The Galactic Council chamber trembled with tension. Delegates from hundreds of star systems gathered, their collective anticipation thick as fog. Yun Park stood at the center, calm and composed, facing a sea of alien scrutiny. Conservative factions from the Crystalline Confederacy demanded immediate explanations. Their representative, a being composed of interconnected geometric shapes, projected disapproval through shifting color patterns. Humans challenge fundamental biological understanding, the representative stated, its voice a mechanical translation. Your reproductive method seems inefficient. Ambassador Sung Kim stepped forward, his diplomatic training evident in every measured movement. Behind him, holographic displays showed complex human biological data, genetic maps, reproductive, system diagrams, evolutionary charts. The light-being moderator pulsed with neutral energy, waiting. Every delegate watched, waiting to see how humans would defend their unique biological approach. Hyun understood the stakes. This wasn't just a scientific discussion. This was a diplomatic challenge to human legitimacy in the galactic community. Our reproduction ensures species survival, she began simply. Internal gestation provides multiple protective mechanisms. She explained how human mothers could shield developing offspring from external threats, how the internal environment maintained stable temperatures, how direct nutrient transfer guaranteed optimal development. The quantum research cluster representatives leaned forward, their multiple sensory organs absorbing every word. They had been studying human reproduction for months and found the process fascinating. Some alien delegates looked horrified. Others looked intrigued. A few seemed genuinely confused by the concept of carrying offspring internally. The mechanical consensus, a civilization of advanced robotic entities, found human reproduction particularly interesting. Their computational analysis suggested humans had developed an extraordinarily adaptive survival strategy. Protection, nutrition, emotional bonding, Yun continued. Our method isn't just biological, it's a comprehensive survival mechanism. Diplomatic tensions rose. Conservative factions argued that humans were biological anomalies that shouldn't be taken seriously. More progressive civilizations saw human reproduction as a marvel of evolutionary adaptation. The Neural Collective, known for their open-minded approach, were particularly supportive. They saw human reproduction as a complex, multi-layered survival strategy that went beyond simple genetic propagation. Ambassador Kim presented additional data, survival rates, genetic diversity, emotional development. Each statistic challenged existing galactic reproductive understanding. We are not asking for acceptance, he said carefully. We are sharing knowledge. The chamber fell silent. The implications were massive. If humans could reproduce so differently, what other biological mysteries might they hold? Holographic displays showed comparative charts, human reproductive success rates, offspring survival metrics, genetic diversity indicators. The data was compelling. The Crystalline Confederacy's representative continued challenging human methods. But their argument seemed weaker with each passing moment. Scientific evidence spoke louder than conservative resistance. Hyun realized this was more than a biological discussion. This was about challenging established galactic perspectives. Humans were forcing an entire civilization to reconsider fundamental understanding of life itself. The light-being moderator's form pulsed with a signal meaning continue discussion. More delegates wanted to understand. More scientific teams wanted detailed explanations. Outside the council chamber, communication networks buzzed. Every star system was watching. Every civilization was learning about human reproduction. Ambassador Kim caught Hyun's eye. A subtle nod passed between them. They both understood the historical significance of this moment. The Galactic Council was experiencing a fundamental shift. Humans weren't just another species. They were a complex, adaptive civilization with unique biological capabilities. As discussions continued, one thing became clear. Human reproduction was about to change everything. The diplomatic complexity was just beginning. Weeks after the initial presentation, something remarkable happened. Humans gained more than scientific recognition. They earned genuine respect across the galaxy. The Galactic Council database received a massive update. Entire chapters about reproductive biology were rewritten. Hyun Park's presentation became mandatory training for xenobiological studies across multiple star systems. Universities developed new research programs. Human reproductive strategies became a prestigious academic field. Students from hundreds of civilizations wanted to understand this unique biological approach. Dr. Orax's research team completed their comprehensive study. Their findings shocked the scientific community. Human reproduction wasn't just different, it was extraordinarily sophisticated. They don't just reproduce, Dr. Orax reported during a universal broadcast. Humans create complex biological and emotional networks through their reproductive process. The Neural Collective declared human reproduction a marvel of evolutionary engineering. Their computational models showed how internal gestation provided multiple survival advantages previously unrecognized by galactic science. Ambassador Sung Kim found himself fielding diplomatic requests from curious civilizations. Research teams wanted detailed medical documentation. Biological institutes requested comprehensive genetic maps. Strange invitations began arriving. The quantum research clusters invited human scientists to collaborative research programs. Advanced medical universities requested human reproductive specialists as visiting professors. What had started as a simple diplomatic statement had transformed galactic understanding. Humans weren't just another species. They were biological innovators. The mechanical consensus developed specialized holographic training modules about human reproduction. Their computational analysis revealed layers of biological complexity previously unknown. Conservative planetary governments, which initially resisted the information, slowly changed their perspectives. The scientific evidence was too compelling to ignore. Hyun Park became an unexpected celebrity. Her simple presentation had opened doors across multiple star systems. Research institutions wanted her expertise. Diplomatic missions requested her insights. Humans showed us that biological diversity is more complex than we understood, noted the light-being moderator during a follow-up council session. Their reproductive method challenges our fundamental perspectives. Academic conferences dedicated entire weeks to discussing human reproductive strategies. Researchers analyzed every aspect, from genetic transfer to emotional bonding mechanisms. The most surprising outcome was cultural. Alien civilizations began seeing humans differently. No longer were they just another species. They were biological, innovators with unique survival strategies. Diplomatic relationships improved. Scientific collaborations expanded. What had seemed like a potential point of conflict became a bridge of understanding. The Stellar Exploration Consortium developed new research protocols. Human biological data became a critical reference point for understanding potential life forms across the galaxy. Dr. Zin, the crystalline researcher, summarized it perfectly during a universal broadcast. Humans didn't just share a biological fact. They shared a perspective that transformed our understanding of life itself. Communication networks carried the story everywhere. From distant research stations to advanced planetary universities, everyone wanted to learn more about human reproduction. The Galactic Council updated its official documentation. Humans were now categorized as a highly adaptive biological civilization, a prestigious designation rarely given. Ambassador Kim watched these developments with quiet satisfaction. What had seemed like a potential diplomatic challenge had become an opportunity for greater understanding. Hyun Park, the young diplomat who started it all, continued her work. She understood that this was more than a scientific revelation. This was about showing the galaxy that diversity was strength, As research continued and perspectives shifted, one thing became clear. Humans had changed galactic understanding forever. Not through military might or technological superiority, but through a simple biological fact. They had earned respect by being uniquely, wonderfully themselves. The unexpected journey of human recognition was complete.